Hi, team. This is Dr. Miranda. It is indeed another great privilege to spend a few moments with you. We are going to be going over the final project rubric. You've been working towards this. Uh, this is pretty much a compilation of all your three milestone papers, as well as some new content. Just a few tips to help you maximize your potential points for this project. Once as I have to put it out there, it's worth a lot of points. Uh, so if you have any questions, any concerns, reach out to me. You have my contact information, and it will be a pleasure to extend my assistance to you. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the rubric. We're going to do a deep dive. We're going to review it. Again, just a few tips. Make sure that you have conducted the necessary corrections, if needed, if applicable to you, on your previous milestone papers. Please make sure that those corrections are there. I have in the past had issues where students did not correct the requested areas, and they resubmitted this. They did simply copy and paste and resubmitted that. Unfortunately, the same errors that were in the milestone papers are the same errors that will be present in the final project, and unfortunately, that results, of course, and in loss of points. The other one, please make sure that you follow the APA and grammar requirements. Very important, because on this particular final project, you will be dinged, quote unquote, of course. You will lose points for not having perfect grammar, perfect APA citations and references. It is part of the rubric. That's why I want to put that out there. The other one is resist the temptation to simply copy and paste the previous milestones. What you want to do is you want to have a very seamless transition from one section of the rubric to another, from one paper of another or to another. Simply because the high originality score software will pick it up and will show it has plagiarism. So you want to be very careful. Again, seamless integration from one area, from one segment of the rubric to another. Another one is be aware that the order of the papers have changed. There are subtle differences in this rubric than the original milestone papers. You have to pay a lot of attention to it when you read it. Okay. There is also new content that is required. I have seen really great top quality papers but lose substantial amount of points simply because they did not provide every section of the rubric as required. Okay. Again, this should be a very straightforward paper. You have at least 90% of it already. Another tip, please, for those of you who have struggled in this, please provide APA headings. The issue in that is that without APA headings, you will lose points as far as the grammar in APA is concerned, but also if I have to hunt all over the paper for the information, there is a possibility that either I could make a mistake or B, you could make a mistake, because using headings in the paper, it helps you to centralize the information. It provides a better flow to your paper. It also serves as a mental checklist. Okay, this section is done, this section is done, this section is done. So it's a great way for some quality review, quality assurance, QA, after the fact. We're all human beings, and we have a tendency to forget things. Some of you are better than others at remembering, but with age comes the issues of memory, and we're not Now, I'm not a fossil yet, and if I would be a fossil, I'll be making a lot of money, and I will be giving um, the evolutionary crowd a heartache, or heartburn, or heart attacks right now, because what is a fossil speaking, right? But hey, you know, when you get to my age, you don't you don't count normal Arabic digits any longer. You just get carbon dated. So, any rate, that's my moment of levity to show that hey, there is a real human professor behind all of the technology. Okay, so let's get to it, and thank you for your patience. Now let me press that little button that will show the rubric. Et voila. Okay, so by now, all of you have chosen Alteryx, LA Start, or Nordstrom. It's been a really good balance. Before it was another company who used to have Keurig instead of Alteryx, and you always poor start get left behind. But I'm really pleased that this time around, many of you chose Start, and you've done a real great job. Okay, please don't have the temptation of changing this to another company right now. Okay, I mean, if it was for me, I would use Tesla. I think emerging technologies are great. I think Alteryx will actually fall under that, right? Especially with big data. That's the I don't say that's the next big thing. It is the big thing right now, and it's getting even bigger. Um, just an aside to big data and Alteryx. The future is big data. The future is the gathering of points of data, and of course the interpretation of that data. And that, of course, is going to be something very powerful in the future. And of course, going into the world of sci-fi, possibly one day they will have quantum computers, and that's, of course, will revolutionize data processing and enable some sort of AI data prediction, which, of course, will be great for the stock market, right? Not. Um, Anyways, be sure to have an executive summary. This wasn't required in the previous rubrics, but it is on this one. Briefly summarize the key points of your proposal, giving the loan committee the most essential information while convincing them to read further. Remember, this is the first and sometimes the only section the selection committee will read in an initial screening. Executive summary, you want to have some numbers in there. You want to add flavor. You want to you want to tantalize. You want to grab the loan committee's attention. You want them salivating, looking at this executive summary like a big steak, or for those of you who are vegetarians, like some really wonderful tofu, right? Um, Looking at it, salivating, looking and being tempted to take the next step. Oh, wow, this is a great investment opportunity. So you want to have a very balanced executive summary. Usually in the executive summary is a page long, okay? And it's the first page after your title on APA, okay? And it doesn't have, and of course, it's supposed to be brief, but also at the same time contain the most valuable and salient information, okay, to just pique the attention of the reader, all right? Now, of course, you have your section 2 investment project. And again, just remember, this is very important. You can use these as your headings for your paper. If you have not done so, it's very easy, investment project. Of course, most of you already have this, so we're not going to spend time on it. But if your feedback came that you've missed some of this, please be sure to have it in there, okay? Justification, most of you already have that information. It really doesn't change at all for this paper. The financial impact, this is the opportunity for those of you who did not provide a incremental annual cumulative cash flow benefits projection or your consolidated projection sheets, because remember, these parts are worth a lot of points in this project, in final project. You don't want to miss it. Okay. Risks, again, the same content as before. Some of you missed your sales fall or increased projections. Some of you missed the time value of money and in the other financial tools as called for by the rubric. Make sure that you provide all of that information. Also, the financing part, the same way. Okay. It's very easy also. Some have missed the business combination. This is going to be very important, worth a lot of points. Okay. Track record, very important. I saw some really fantastic track records, both in terms of the financing, right? Just don't say, "Oh yeah, we're a great company because we're making a lot of money." Now you got to show why you're making a lot of money, and make sure that you provide the necessary indicators to show the financial performance and health of the company. Okay. You also need to provide, again, the legal and ethical financial behavior, evidence of that. Again, not simply, "Oh yeah, we're doing great, we're fantastic, we're really great. We have a company code of conduct, and there's been no lawsuits." I had students in the past who wrote such things. Well, there's been no lawsuits. And all you have to do is do a little Google search, excuse me, and you'll find that there's tons of lawsuits. And if this happens, and unfortunately, when this happens, this entire section is lost. Okay, because it's the students are providing non-factual information. Okay, so you want to talk about the lawsuits and how they were handled, not each lawsuit, but overall how the company dealt with it, and now how the company is really unethical, upholds the highest standards of ethics. Okay, and also they have strong legal uh, uh, worldview construct, a way to deal with these legal issues that come up. Now, this is, of course, the last one is the questions and answers. This is the new content that's being required. And your proposal by constructing a persuasive, evidence-based question and answer section that addresses additional financial questions you think the loan committee might ask, including legal and ethical concerns and why the loan will be attractive to the bank. I've seen some really great questions and answers. Think of it like this. Think of that you are working for the White House. Okay? No matter who the president is, you can put your favorite president there if you want to, right? I mean, you can even resurrect them. You can clone them. So you can feel good about that. Okay? Just make sure, think about it this way. You're like the spokesperson, okay? So you're not going to get out there. You guys remember history. The shooting of President Reagan and there was a lot of confusion in the government, and of course, General De Hague claiming that he was in charge. The Constitution gave him, Secretary of State, constitutional powers to be in charge and make all the decisions, where actually he was violating the Constitution and the order of secession. But putting that aside, one of the things that I paid a lot of attention to was this. The White House that day sent a lot of confusion, a lot of mixed signals. Why? And it was very dangerous. Let me tell you why it was dangerous. Because we were in the middle of the Cold War. There was another country out there called the Soviet Union with nukes, okay, ready to fly. And they were concerned that there was actually a coup d'etat in America, and then perhaps De Hague was the new leader. Okay, and the White House spokesperson, sorry, gotta be politically correct these days. Well, the spokesperson was answering in a manner that provided a lot of instability. Right? He was, I don't know. I'll get back to you. I don't know. I need some more information. Well, what that did is created a lot of instability, and so it's a good thing for you right here to actually be substantive. Think about questions that they would ask. Now, and provide at least, 3 to 4 questions, good solid questions. You will put the question, and then underneath you will put the answer, and make sure that is substantive. Make sure that is professional. Make sure that it does show numbers if numbers are the questions being answered. And, shy away from one-line answers. Well, how you propose to deal with this? Well, we'll deal with that when the situation presents itself. Well, that's not quite an answer, right? It's almost like an evasion. And if I were in a loan committee and I heard that, I would say, you know something, we need to rethink this expansion because you're not giving me a lot of confidence. Okay. So, think about it. You're the spokesperson. You own this. You're in charge. You're the brains behind this operation. And so you want to dazzle them with your answers. You want to say this is the best thing the company has ever done. This is absolutely one of the most amazing steps that we are taking ever since the foundation of the company. And you want to give them great answers. You want to really, make them feel at ease about this. You want them to say, hey, this kind of person is the person that we need in upper leadership because they have solid answers. They have a beautiful proposal. They're good with their numbers. They're good with their narrative. It makes sense. This expansion is going to be beautiful for a company. It's going to be essential. What you don't want to hear from a loan committee is, well, we really appreciate the time and effort you put into this, but I think we need a little bit more time to think about it. I think that there's some issues in there that, we're a little bit unsure about. Now, of course, these things can happen in real life. Loan committees can, or banks and investors can really, walk away. And I can tell you this right now from experience and from a student of history, particular corporate history, and how deals are made and how deals are won or how deals are lost. The number one thing you want to give an investor is confidence. You want them to look at these numbers. You want them to look at a proposal. You want them to get out of there thinking you're the best thing since sliced bread, right? That this is the best opportunity since the invention of the internet. Okay. And the way that you do that is you provide good solid numbers. You provide a real good solid arguments. You anticipate their answers and you are proactive. Okay, you dig out the little details. You go above and beyond. You do your homework. You do your macroeconomics, microeconomics. You look at the demographics. You pretty much dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Because at the end of the day, you want to have a winning proposal, right? I've remembered in the beginning of the course, I said, look at this as a real life simulation. Look at this as something that you can be proud of. That's something that not only you get a real great grade for it, but you learn something, okay? And that's the objective of course, these assignments. Okay, so they can enrich your existing skill set. That you can feel good and proud about yourself and proud about your progress and something you can use in real life and in your career. Because the reality of it is we're always learning. Okay. Now, I want to look at the final project rubric. Very important. Some of you have really struggled throughout this. And I really would ask you to look at the resources been provided for you and really make the necessary corrections, please. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for your paper, right? One of the things that I always remember, and I think this is very important. You're like, oh boy, here we go again. Down memory lane. Okay. Well, here's something. Yeah, I was at Citigroup And boy, I wish I had my coffee right now, right? Don't you just want a coffee right now? I just want a coffee. But I don't have coffee. It's upstairs. It's in the kitchen, and the dog is guarding the kitchen, and she looks a little bit angry today because she didn't get an opportunity to go out on her walk yesterday because here in Northern Virginia we're being graced by a lot of rain. It made me think about the story of Noah building an ark. Hey, run on a lumber company, good for business. Anyways, I'm rambling, but here it is. All right, working at Citigroup and having a time of my life, and new boss comes in, big director. I was in risk management at the time, analysis of risks and financial stuff and signing off on risks coming into the company, going and outgoing, having a great time. Big meeting coming up. Was also part of the leadership development program at the time, just enjoying myself. Doing the doctorate at the same time. Leadership development program in Citigroup, very nice, prestigious program. Senior leadership. Just I'm having the time of my life, enjoying every moment of it. Okay. Till one day, my boss calls me in the office. He's really angry. His name is Ron, New Yorker, and I love New Yorkers. I lived in upstate New York for a few years. Love New Yorkers, right? Love New York. Not too sure about the Giants, and some of you will forgive me, uh, but it is what it is. Now, Ron's steaming mad. Ron is angry. He's about to have a heart attack or a stroke. He's mad. And when the boss is mad, you got to be careful, right? So he looked at me. He says, Yubi, my boss went up and down, you know, tore me up because of what you provided me. I'm like, well, what do you mean, what I provided you? He's like, Yubi, this is good work. But son, the presentation is no good. It's not good. He said, remember, I want you to go back and I want you to fix this. The numbers look good, okay? But I want you to work on a polished presentation for leadership. And he told me, say, Yubi, look, you don't want to create an impression that you are sloppy. You don't want senior leadership to look at a report that you're giving and their eyes cannot focus on the numbers because they're being distracted by wacky fonts. They're being distracted by errors and grammar. They're being just distracted by the lack of professional presentation. And he said, look, the way that you use all of these beautiful tools, and I love because he was old school, right? I love those old school New Yorkers. They're great. He said, son, you need to work on the presentation in a way that you want their eyes to go exactly where you want their eyes to go to in that report and nowhere else. So he gave me a few pointers on how to use color appropriately, how to use beautiful logos. And you know something? From that point on, because I learned that day the power of presentation, the power of fonts, the power of a beautiful spreadsheet with great solid numbers, but using fonts, using appropriate grammar to really make a fantastic presentation. Because the reality is this: the core of financing economics is, of course, the numbers, right? I mean, you can have the most beautiful, dazzling presentations, but if the numbers are junk, if the numbers are no good, then there's nothing. But you can have the most powerful quantitative variables. But if those variables are not presented in a way that's professional, then it's no good, right? I I have to confess that in my dissertation, it got pushed back over 35 times. And you're like, what? No, the numbers were great. Very little about the content, because it was good. It was good stuff. Terrorism, airline industry, profitability, oil, petroleum and attacks and whatnot, hijackings. So, I mean, really Hollywood stuff, right? But just in a bland academic way. Rejected. A majority of the times it was because of ABA, it was because of grammar, and I was steaming mad. Why can't they tell me the content? And I voiced that. I said, why can't you tell me about the content? And usually they said, look, we looked at the content, looks great. If we had something with the content, we would have written to you, let you know the problem is with the content. And usually that's what I do in my feedback. If the content is great, I'll say, hey, this looks good. If there's an area in the content that needs help, I usually say, hey, by the way, this area here needs a little bit more help, you know. Um, but I'm like, man, I get it's all APA and all this stuff. And it just dawned on me, again, that lesson that I learned in Citigroup, the power of presentation. You know what I did? I used $750 of my own money. I know that some of us, we struggle. Hey, I'm a working guy also. Um, so money doesn't grow on trees for me, but at the time I had saved up and I actually paid a consultant to come in and help me. And this person helped me. And from that time on, I had no more problems. And that dissertation went like that. Okay. The power of a presentation. Sometimes it's hard for the reader to get past the grammar mistakes, the lack of citations, the profession tone of what's being presented because of the messiness, right? Of the artifacts that are not there. So you want your writings, you want your reports to be professional. I don't mean Hollywood style fireworks. But I'm talking about you're projecting an image of a professional, which you are. Projecting an image of someone who knows. Okay? A lot of it is projecting image. But behind that image, there has to be solid stuff. Okay? It's just like looking at a nice, beautiful egg, and I love eggs, especially boiled eggs. Fantastic, But some presentations they look good on the outside, not a nice shell, but if you bite into it, there's nothing in there, right? Just air. I never, Anyways, big long story. Biting into an egg. Ooh, big story, long story. It's actually a very funny story, but I'm not going to tell you, okay? Because remember, I have an image to maintain. All right, my dear friends, fantastic. Wow. Last paper, final project, right? And I just want to let you know, hey, you have already 90% of the information. Just put it all together. Make sure that you deliver that final content, deliver on the beautiful, APA required fonts and double space and all that great stuff. Okay, formatting, headings, very important things, right? Anyways, by the way, I did get a promotion from the boss. He was very happy, right? And so I was actually promoted out of the department into another department, which was a step up. But I always remember Ron. I always remember that beautiful, beautiful lesson that he taught me. And it has really helped me up to this day because, once you become a glorified doctor, then, you have to write even more. You have to do tons of research. It doesn't end there. Okay, my dear friends, great spending this time with you. And I believe that each and every one of you are going to do fantastic work. You're going to deliver high quality proposals, okay? Things that you can be proud of, things that you can just look at them, be proud of what you've done, and possibly clone that into your own proposal for your own company so you can go out there and make tons of money. All right, take care. You have a beautiful, awesome day. And if you are in Northern Virginia, stay out of the rain.